Hello, I hope y'all are all doing well. It's December 6th, and today I'm back, of course. So today I'm going to be talking about many things. I'm going to be talking about an upcoming potential, like, like small winter storm. I'm going to be starting off by talking about that, and then I'm going to be looking at severe weather. We have a little bit more severe weather to discuss. Uh, so yeah, sorry I have not been here for quite a while. I've been like pretty much sick since Friday, and then uh, other than that, I think last week I just didn't post because there wasn't a whole lot going on. But yeah, I am. But I'm back, and I should be posting consistently for a little bit again, uh, unless something else happens. But I don't think it will. So yeah, we're looking at temperatures across the entire U.S. here. We can see very sharp contrast between the northern plains area into, yeah, I guess just the northern plains, like also the northern high plains there, like in Montana, North Dakota, we're looking at negatives. But then once you go into the south, Texas, over into southern Arkansas, all the way up into western Tennessee, we see a good area of temperature of like 70 plus degree temperatures. A large portion of the south we can see with temperatures in the 70s currently. Uh, high temperatures today though were around 80 in a good bit of areas. We can see, kind of how that's played out today, of high temperatures that are lovely wedge in upstate South Carolina, northeast Georgia's kept it cold, foggy all day. While over in, Nashville, it's 68. And we do have a little marginal risk, I think, around this area here, which when we take a look at current radar, we can see over near Louisville, we do have some activity, some thunderstorms near Brandenburg, Irvington. I don't know. I don't know how to say that, but in that area, all the way up into even up in Indiana, we have some thunderstorms. South of Indianapolis. Nothing like severe or that appears very very strong at this point. Other than these storms near Paducah do appear a little better for like in the like the way of wind and stuff. But yeah, so that's that. Definitely above average temperatures in the south. I really don't. I know that these temperatures up here are below average because Grand Forks does not have like an average high of 8 on December 6th, but so at least Grand Forks, I'm 100% sure it is below average today, but I'm quite positive all these other areas up here are likely below average, although probably all the way down into this area at least. But yes, that's kind of like what we're looking at temperature wise. The west is pretty cool. In fact, very cold. That's where all the most of the cold is right now. The northeast today was in the 50s, and like areas along the coast 40s further into the interior northeast. But yeah, so looking at like this is just HRRR reflectivity. So we're going to be looking at like a little disturbance that's going to be moving across the northern plains tonight, maybe bringing a little bit of some very light snow accumulation areas of central Minnesota, southeast North Dakota, northeast South Dakota. Like accumulations, like I said, will be light. And then we see our low that's kind of bringing a lot of rain in the northeast, and even some of these storms are over across that area. We're going to see that continue pushing off to the northeast, and not really any winter weather expected unless like far northern Maine, but rain in that area. And then we see this new I guess low emerge here. Looks like we have like a very like disorganized surface low there. But yeah, so we're gonna be seeing like a very disorganized system. We can see this is Thursday morning, so this is right before sunrise. This would be 3 a.m. Central Time. We're looking at a good bit of rain across areas of Oklahoma, northern Texas, Arkansas, all the way into Illinois. Excuse me. And then over into Nebraska, northern Kansas, we do start to see some mixing in some areas. And then this moves a little further east. We start to see that we see a little bit more cold air in place across this area now. And so that's going to help to change more of that rain over to snow. And that's going to kind of lead us into like a little winter storm across areas of Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. So talk about that in just a second. We'll just after we talk about this. We are going to be looking at another storm system coming into the northwest as well. Overnight Wednesday night into Thursday. We can see a lot of snow in the higher elevations there, and also a lot of rain all the way from like northern California all the way up into Washington by Thursday afternoon. So it comes in very quickly. But yeah, so looking at our potential like little snowstorm, this is the NAM3 model, different model than we just looked at. Just to mention that at 6 p.m. Friday, here's what we're looking at. So we're looking at a lot of like rain across. Actually, I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna lock it so we can kind of compare past the runs. So yeah, so 7 p.m. We're starting to look at some areas of Iowa starting to change over to that's freezing rain. On pivotal weather here, maybe some like brief snow mixing in, like even in northern Illinois as like the onset of the rain occurs, but nothing really significant. But we do see some like decent snow falling over in Nebraska and southern South Dakota, way over there. We do see some decent snow falling a little bit later, so 7 p.m. We're starting to see that freezing rain kind of expand, and also that snow line move a little further east. By 8 p.m. we're looking at a good bit of snow now across northwest Iowa, and also a good bit of freezing rain still, but it is shifting a little further north here. And some areas like if you're in like a more southern location, or I guess central compared to Iowa, like for example if you live here, you could kind of like start off as freezing rain, switch over to rain, then eventually switch over to snow potentially. That's kind of what the NAM3 is thinking at this point. So I want to go back to actually we can't go back to that. But we can go back to 00Z, and then we can go back to the 12Z run. We can compare. So the 12Z was a lot different than the 00Z. This is something that could indicate, a trend here. So this is with this morning's run. So this is a little different than what we just looked at. We can see we had a lot of snow across northwest Iowa already by 6 p.m. Not really, like we did have freezing rain, but not as widespread. Coverage really kind of broken. Coverage, but then with the 18Z run, it snows a little further over there. But these areas do switch over to snow by 04Z. We're looking at 10 p.m. here. Des Moines is still rain. We can see temperatures at this time. 30s. Des Moines is 34 with rain, so about as miserable as it can get. But we have a lot of freezing rain starting to come into even Wisconsin now, Minnesota. And a lot of snow falling still over in South Dakota, so some decent accumulations are expected in some areas from this. By 06Z, you can see, a lot of snow starting to come into northern Iowa here. Starting to see that colder air aloft pushing. And also southwestern Minnesota. So, yeah, that's that kind of off of the NAM3. Now, I want to go to we can zoom in on Iowa here and see. So kind of what happens the latest run. So we see freezing rain push throughout the state. Even the areas in the southern part of the state could see some like brief wintry precip by like 4 to like 10 a.m. Thursday morning. Then moving up into northern Iowa, where any like ice accumulations are more. There's like a better chance of it. Excuse me. And then we switch over to snow. And then again, northern Iowa does see more accumulation. None of that snow does really make it into Des Moines on the latest run. So we'll see if we switch over to the NAM model, because we can go back to kind of compare a little bit more here. The NAM model is much different. So it has like it doesn't have as much freezing rain, but with this first kind of band that comes through, we see a good bit more cold air in the NAM. And so, I mean, Des Moines does get a little round of snow. Right south of town, though, does get freezing rain as it's warmer, and Des Moines quickly gets some like rain and doesn't even get anything on the backside. So a little similar, other than that first, the kind of onset of precip is snow in Des Moines. So Des Moines is a little bit interesting. We'll see what it can do. I don't think like any accumulations that are significant really are expected with this, or really should be expected with this, but maybe like up to like 1 inch. Maybe, I mean, the NAM gives Des Moines about like, well, not even an inch, like 0.2. So we'll see. Des Moines is a very interesting spot with this system, for sure. And then looking over at, because the NAM goes out further, we can track this for a little longer. So we can see that snow by 7 p.m. is also on the NAM. It's like a little bit of different. This is a different model, so timing is different. So, like on the NAM 3 this time, if I want to lock it on that, and then in the NAM 3, we didn't have any snow across those areas. That's kind of thing. The NAM does have a little bit more precip, kind of moving north quicker. So we see a good bit of snow across, already areas of Wisconsin, southeast Minnesota. And that still continues in Wisconsin pretty much for a good good 12 hours. We're still seeing snow. We see the low in central Illinois Friday at 6 a.m. We have the low right there. Northern Illinois likely not getting on any like accumulations with this, but maybe like northwest Illinois has the best chance of seeing anything. Kind of like, northwest Illinois will probably see some maybe you could see some like brief accumulations, but I don't think we're going to see like more than an inch. And then this moves into Michigan and starts to kind of die out, but some snow could be possible in Michigan as well. So looking at total accumulations from this, the NAM gives it a good slot of model trends off of NAM here. We can see or actually no, we can't do that. Here, if I do this, so the last 3 runs of the NAM 3 have given what? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So the last 3 runs in the NAM 3 have actually shifted like a little. Originally, like the 12Z brought a little bit of a shift south, but then the 18Z shifted a little further north, with also going a little lower on the totals across most areas. But we could be looking at like a good 6 inches possible in some like localized areas, maybe over in South Dakota, northern Nebraska, and then maybe like a little decent like small swath of it across southeast Minnesota, like far northern Iowa, and a good bit of Wisconsin. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So yeah, that's generally the snow. I don't really want to look at this too much more. We can compare models though for like this snow. Oh, Michigan, it doesn't go out far enough, so we'll go ahead and shift out a little more here. European generally agrees with the NAM, I guess. Like very similar. Maybe a little further south. Canadian, not the best model to look at, but very sharp cutoff, but pretty similar. And GFS, with most of the snowfall kind of right around like southern Wisconsin, like Madison getting in on most of that snow, so a little bit more of an pretty interesting with this. This, oh my gosh, okay, yeah, sorry about that. Just my phone okay, problem is fixed. Okay, so yeah, GFS is a little bit more spotty with the 6-inch totals, and there's the NAM and the RDPS. So yeah, I can kind of like average those out a little bit there. So yeah, that's that little like winter storm, I guess you could say. Could like potentially bring in a little bit, like a good bit of snow to areas, South Dakota, areas in Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin. So Yeah, now talking about severe weather. Okay, this is the next topic. So Thursday we're gonna be looking at that next system kind of affecting northwest there. That's not really what's gonna be our next thing. It's this system that comes in about Saturday. We see this thing push in Saturday morning on the GFS. Uh, and we can see this trough digs down into the west on Monday, and that is the day we're going to be watching for severe weather. This is a very classic looking severe weather setup for sure. But Monday's outlook, we can see we have a 15% across areas of eastern Oklahoma, northeast Texas, northwestern Louisiana, western and central Arkansas. Generally just western Arkansas and southwestern Missouri, in which we see, I mean, this could be like a little bit of a overnight event, maybe into Tuesday as well. Tuesday it looks very the GFS shows like this would be like a very significant wind event, for sure, especially up into the Midwest. But the GFS is a little weird there. I don't really trust that. Let's take a look at the Euro for a comparison between the GFS, because I don't trust the GFS there with that. It's a little bit of an interesting how are these so similar? I do not understand. Okay, but I mean the upper level low is practically in like the same spot. Yeah, but we can see I mean, definitely the severe weather threat would definitely occur over 2 days. Maybe pushing more into Tuesday, because we don't really have the jet fully, we don't really have any of the energy in the plains yet. It's kind of too far to the west. Of course, I mean, we're not going to get really severe weather across the west this time of year normally. Like, we don't see severe weather like in Colorado, like western Colorado and stuff. Like, this time we rarely see it like in western Colorado in the first place, but I mean this time of year it's pretty rare, because it's also gonna be, I'm just not gonna talk about that yet, but yeah. So that, I mean, the European and the GFS are some very interesting solutions. Taking a look at temperatures, so just so we can see this here. So while this thing's in the west, I mean, it's still pretty. We don't really see, everything kind of get into the, we don't really see a whole lot of moisture yet. We, already into Monday, we can just tell by temperatures. I mean, temperatures are pretty cool. I mean, 50s for most of that risk area, but we see that really come in Tuesday. Front way up into Nebraska, and then that very large front there. Very long front, I guess you could say. So yeah, here's our surface low in the Euro. So Tuesday, we see our severe weather event inside of our 15% risk, right along the cold front here. Very basic severe weather threat. Significant winter storm on the backside of the low. Just to mention, maybe potential winter storm across the northern plains. And it's moves into the Midwest with still a severe weather threat in the south for sure, but definitely this would bring a pretty significant wind threat, I'd say. On the GFS looked a little more strong. Yeah, we can see the GFS has a blizzard across Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, areas of North Dakota as well. A very significant system on the GFS here. Yeah, we can see that. Look at that. All the way up into Minnesota, Wisconsin there. Taking a look at temperatures, and we can just see how far that warm air reaches. Yeah, look at that. We have, temperatures all the way in Wisconsin up into the 60s from this. So that's very, I mean, all the way in northern Michigan, we're near 60 in the morning on the GFS. So this will probably not happen just like the GFS is saying. I just want to mention that. I don't think this is going to happen just like the GFS is saying. I think the GFS is definitely going a little over with this, with how strong the system's going to be. But this is going to be potentially a pretty large system. I mean, like, I guess significant system, I guess should be the right word. Because if I say large, it just means like, oh, the system's large. It's not a big deal, which it is pretty big. I mean, this front is, cold front's very large, and see the wind gusts along it though. Just uh, even behind it where we have the snow. I mean, it's gusting in like the 60s in some areas. So very GFS is going very, very strong with this. Just something to kind of mention there. So yeah, dew points. That's probably the last thing we're gonna look at for severe weather. So I definitely think that the threat could be pushed into Tuesday. I still think we're gonna see like a threat on Monday as well, like the SPC has. But I do kind of think by tomorrow morning, if the models keep this up, a couple like maybe another like a couple more runs, they'll probably shift most like a good bit of the threat over to Tuesday. Not most of it. Still think we could see a threat on Monday, but we don't really. The GFS we see all of our, like we do have our moisture already in place on Monday, but then the European is a little different. We can see we still have dews in like the 50s. I mean, the threat would also, and the threat, if we did have a threat on Monday, the threat would be further west. Definitely, it would be limited to like mainly, like maybe like near Wichita Falls, that kind of area, that area. Just a little, just by looking at this, but yes, the GFS and the Euro are pretty, are widely different, I'd say. So I mean, it's going to be exciting to see what the system does. This is going to be pretty interesting. But yeah, so I hope y'all enjoyed the video. A little bit of a longer video. Sorry if like I kind of like don't sound right while I talk. I mean, there's not much I can do. But yeah, thank you. Goodbye.